ever to reduce our demand for the fuel that is a powerful inflationary force in our economy, is causing our climate to change with all the unimaginable problems that creates, and is ransoming our future to regimes that care little for our values or our security. We need to unleash the competitive forces of the free market to encourage clean alternatives: wind, solar, tide, nuclear, and clean coal. But to really achieve energy security, we must address the area where the demand for oil is the greatest: the way we fuel our transportation system. I promised a plan which I call the Lexington Project, for the place where America's war for independence began, which will encourage the investment and innovation necessary to wean our cars, buses, and trucks off of our complete dependence on gasoline. It'll take time. It'll take time. But the longer we wait to begin, the longer it will take to achieve. It's an ambitious plan, but I'm confident that our industry and entrepreneurs and all Americans are up to this next great challenge in our history. The genius, the hard work, and courage of Americans have never failed us and will not fail us now. Let me close by talking briefly about my respect and gratitude for the contributions of Hispanic Americans to the culture, economy, and security of the country that I have had the honor of serving all my adult life. I represent Arizona.
John, you represent Arizona, and we say we want to leave.
You know, that's a very familiar voice to me. But let me also point out, it's a long trip out. My friends, in case you have seen I'm sure you've seen the polls lately about trust and confidence in government and the frustration that Americans feel about us. If you saw the front page of the Washington Post this morning, again, the Senate is gridlocked. The one thing Americans want us to stop doing is yelling at each other. That's the one thing that they want us to stop doing. As I was about to say, I represent Arizona, where Spanish was spoken before English was, and where the character and prosperity of our state owes a great deal to the many Arizonans of Hispanic descent who live there. And I know this country, which I love more than almost anything, would be the poorer were we deprived of the patriotism, industry, and decency of those millions of Americans whose families came here from our hemisphere, from Mexico, Central and South America. I will honor their contributions to America for as long as I live. I and many other colleagues twice attempted to pass comprehensive immigration legislation to fix our broken borders, ensure respect for the laws of this country, recognize the important economic necessity of immigrant laborers, apprehend those who came here illegally to commit crimes, and deal practically and humanely with those who came here, as my distant ancestors did, to build a better, safer life for their families, without excusing the fact they came here illegally or granting them privileges before those who did. Many Americans with good cause did not believe us when we said we would secure our borders, and so we failed in our efforts, not once but twice. We must prove to them that we can and will secure our borders first while respecting the dignity and rights of citizens and legal residents of the United States. But we must not make the mistake of thinking that our responsibility to meet this challenge will end with that accomplishment. We have economic and humanitarian responsibilities as well, and they require no less dedication for us to meet them. When I was in prison in Vietnam, I, like other of my fellow POWs, was offered early release by my captors. Most of us refused because we were bound by our code of conduct, which said those who had been captured the earliest had to be released the soonest. My friend, my beloved friend Everett Alvarez, a brave American of Mexican descent, had been shot down years before I was, and had suffered for his country much more and much longer than I had. To leave him behind would have shamed us. When you take the solemn stroll along that wall of black granite on the National Mall, it's hard not to notice so many names, such as Rodriguez, Hernandez, and Lopez, that so sadly adorn it. When you visit Iraq and Afghanistan, you'll meet some of the thousands of Hispanic Americans who serve there, and many of those who risk their lives to protect the rest of us. And some do not possess the rights and privileges of full citizenship yet in the country they love so well. To love your country, as I discovered in Vietnam, is to love your countrymen. Those men and women are my brothers and sisters, my fellow Americans, an association that means more to me than any other. As a private citizen or as your president, I will never do anything to dishonor
Our apologies, Senator.
I'd like to conclude by saying as a private citizen or as your president, I will never do anything to dishonor our obligations to them and their families, or to forget what they and their ancestors have done to make this country the beautiful, bountiful, blessed place we love. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'm ready for your questions. Thank you. Thank you very much. It makes me feel very wonderful to have such a wonderful reception, and I'm grateful for it. I'm ready now to respond to any questions or comments that you might have.